Have you ever wondered what it takes to stand up for what you believe in, even when the whole world seems to be against you? What does true friendship and unshakable faith look like in the face of mortal danger? Today we're going on a journey back in time, to a story of courage, sacrifice, and divine intervention that changed the course of history forever. This is the story of the Hijrah, the migration of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and his dearest companion, Abu Bakr, from Mecca to Medina. For 13 years in Mecca, the Prophet and his followers faced relentless persecution. They were ridiculed, boycotted, and physically harmed, all for believing in one God. The message of Islam was growing, but so was the hostility of the Quraysh, the powerful tribe that controlled Mecca. They saw this new faith as a threat to their traditions, their power, and their wealth, which was largely tied to the idols in the Kaaba. The situation was becoming unbearable. The Muslims had endured so much, but a breaking point was near. The leaders of Quraysh held a secret meeting. Their conclusion was grim and final. They decided to assassinate the Prophet. To avoid a tribal war, their plan was devious. One young, strong man from each major clan would strike the Prophet simultaneously, so the guilt would be shared by all, making it impossible for the Prophet's clan to seek revenge against everyone. They were closing in, believing their plan was foolproof. But they forgot one crucial detail. They were plotting against a prophet of God. It was at this critical moment that the angel Gabriel came to the Prophet with a divine command. The time had come to leave Mecca. The time for the Hijrah had arrived. The Prophet immediately went to the house of his closest friend, Abu Bakr, a Siddiq. When Abu Bakr saw the Prophet, he knew something significant was about to happen. The Prophet informed him that permission had been granted for the migration, and that Abu Bakr would be his companion on this perilous journey. Overwhelmed with joy and honor, Abu Bakr wept. He had been preparing for this day for months, even purchasing 2 camels in anticipation. The partnership was set. The journey was about to begin. That night, as the assassins surrounded the Prophet's house, waiting for him to emerge, a brilliant plan was put into motion. The Prophet asked his brave young cousin, Ali ibn Abi Talib, to sleep in his bed, wrapped in his green cloak, to deceive the would-be attackers. It was an act of immense courage, as Ali was essentially offering his own life to protect the Prophet. While the assassins watched the house, believing their target was asleep, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, slipped out unseen. He recited a verse from the Quran, and it was as if a veil was placed over the eyes of his enemies. He walked right past them, even sprinkling dust on their heads, a symbolic gesture of their blindness and failure. But they couldn't just head north towards Medina. That's the first place the Quraysh would look. Instead, the Prophet and Abu Bakr went in the complete opposite direction south, towards the barren, rocky mountains. Their destination was a small, secluded shelter known as the Cave of Thawr. The journey to the cave was grueling. The Prophet, who wasn't used to walking on such harsh terrain barefoot, suffered cuts and bruises on his feet. Seeing his friend's pain, Abu Bakr, in an act of profound love and service, carried the Prophet on his back for part of the way. When they reached the cave, Abu Bakr insisted on going in first. Why? He wanted to make sure it was safe. He tore pieces of his own clothing to block any holes in the cave walls, protecting his beloved companion from any snakes or scorpions that might be lurking inside. He cleaned the cave and only then invited the Prophet to enter. Exhausted from the journey, the Prophet rested his head on Abu Bakr's lap and fell asleep. Suddenly, Abu Bakr felt a sharp sting in his foot. A scorpion had bitten him through a small hole he had missed. Despite the intense pain, he didn't move a muscle. He refused to stir and risk waking the Prophet. The pain was so severe that a tear rolled down his cheek and fell onto the Prophet's face, waking him up. When the Prophet saw what had happened, he applied his blessed saliva to the wound, and by the will of God, the pain instantly vanished. Meanwhile, back in Mecca, the Quraysh were furious. They had been outsmarted. They offered a massive reward, 100 camels, for the capture of Muhammad and Abu Bakr, dead or alive. Every tracker, bounty hunter, and warrior in Arabia was now on their trail. The search parties fanned out in all directions. One group, led by a skilled tracker, followed their footprints right to the mouth of the Cave of Thawr. They were just steps away. Inside the cave, Abu Bakr could hear their voices. He could see their feet. He whispered to the Prophet, full of fear, "O Messenger of God, if one of them were to just look down at their feet, they would see us." This is one of the most powerful moments in the entire story. Imagine the tension, the fear, the feeling of being completely trapped. The most powerful men in Arabia were standing right outside, and there was nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. But the Prophet's response was not one of fear. It was one of absolute, unshakable faith. He calmly replied, "What do you think, O Abu Bakr, of two when God is their third? La tahzan, in Allah mana, do not grieve. Indeed, Allah is with us." And at that moment, a miracle occurred. The Quraysh looked at the entrance of the cave and saw something that made them turn back. According to historical accounts, a spider had woven a perfect, unbroken web across the mouth of the cave. A dove had built a nest and laid its eggs right at the entrance. The trackers concluded that no one could have possibly entered the cave recently without disturbing the web or the nest. They were so close, yet so far. They turned around and left, completely oblivious to the fact that their prize was just a few feet away. Protected not by rock and stone, but by the will of the Almighty. After 3 days and 3 nights in the cave, when the search had died down, it was time to continue the journey. Abu Bakr's family had been secretly bringing them food and news. They had also hired a guide, a non-Muslim named Abdullah ibn Uraqat, who was known for his trustworthiness and knowledge of the desert's secret paths. He led them on an unconventional route, far from the main caravan trails, through treacherous valleys and vast empty plains to avoid any pursuers. But the danger wasn't over. The bounty of 100 camels was a tempting prize. A skilled warrior named Suraka ibn Malik spotted them from a distance. He galloped towards them on his finest horse, confident he would claim the reward. As he got closer, his horse suddenly stumbled and fell, throwing him to the ground. He got up, brushed himself off, and dismissed it as a coincidence. He mounted his horse and charged again. Again, the horse's front legs sank into the sand as if swallowed by the earth, and he was thrown off. This time, Suraka knew this was no ordinary event. This was something supernatural. Frightened, he called out to the Prophet, pleading for safety. The Prophet, in his infinite mercy, forgave him. Rakaba promised not only to keep their location a secret, but also to turn back any other pursuers he encountered. The Prophet then gave him a prophecy, saying that one day, Suraka would wear the bracelets of Hijrah, the emperor of Persia. Years later, during the caliphate of Umar ibn al-Khattab, the Persian Empire was conquered, and its treasures were brought to Medina. Umar called for Suraka and placed the emperor's bracelets on his arms, fulfilling the Prophet's prophecy decades after it was made. The rest of the journey was filled with small signs and blessings, from a dry goat miraculously giving milk to the warm welcomes they received from small communities along the way. Finally, after a journey of over 400 kilometers that took more than a week, they saw the palm groves of Yathrib, the city that would soon be known as Medina, the city of the Prophet. The news of their approach had reached the city, and every day the people of Medina, the Ansar, would climb the hills, eagerly scanning the horizon. And then, one day, a lookout shouted, "He is here. The one you have been waiting for is here." The entire city erupted in joy. Men, women, and children poured out of their homes, chanting songs of welcome. It was a celebration unlike any other. The sun-scorched desert travelers were received not just as refugees, but as leaders, as brothers, as the answer to their prayers. The Hijrah was complete. This wasn't just a physical move from one city to another. The Hijrah marks a pivotal turning point. It marks the end of the era of persecution in Mecca and the beginning of the Islamic community state in Medina. It's the moment that the calendar of Islam begins. It's a story that teaches us about strategic planning. Using every worldly means available, the decoy, the southern route, the guide, the supplies. But it also teaches us that after you've done everything you can, you must place your complete trust in God. It's a testament to the deep love and loyalty of true friendship, as shown by Abu Bakr and Ali. And above all, it's a powerful reminder that even when you are cornered, outnumbered, and all hope seems lost, divine help can come from the most unexpected places, like a spider's web and a dove's nest. The story of the Hijrah continues to inspire millions around the world. It's a timeless lesson in faith, perseverance, and the belief that with God, you are never truly alone. Thank you so much for joining me on this incredible journey. If you found this story as moving as I do, please hit that like button and subscribe for more content that explores the rich tapestry of history and faith. Let me know in the comments what part of the Hijrah story inspires you the most. Till next time, take care and stay curious.